Everybody, welcome back to the Sunnydale Review. I'm Brian.
I'm Jillian.
Jillian, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. We're going to finish season 4 in this episode, which is incredibly exciting. And I kind of figure it's going to be like 25% Primeval and 75% Restless, just based on
Probably.
how those two episodes are laid out. But hey, you know what? Let's jump right into it with Primeval, season 4, episode 21. Originally aired May 16th, 2000. Was written by David Fury and directed by James A. Cottner. So we start off with Buffy at the high school. She's searching for Riley, but as we saw at the end of the last episode, Riley's not there because he's hanging with Adam in a cave. So we cut back to that. Adam's explaining that Riley has a behavior modifier in his chest. And he kind of likens them to brothers because they're both experiments of Walsh in that way. He says that Riley's finally going to ascend and embrace the power he's never dreamed of. Though we don't know exactly what this... Obviously, you and I know, and probably everyone who's watching knows eventually what he means, but it's still rather vague at this point as to what he means. Adam explains demons are too in the past. They're all about, ancient rituals and customs, while humans embrace technology but are very weak compared to their demon counterparts. Walsh saw the flaws in both of these species and created Adam and implanted Riley, and she wanted to bridge the gap between the two species. Anything you want to say about this line of thought?
It's just weird. I get the whole, demons being too far in the past, and, that's where Giles really shines with his knowledge and his books and all that. We've even seen Giles have a severe aversion to anything technical.
That's true. But, one time they made a robo-demon, so...
Yeah.
She's like, I can't believe you just made me think about the iRobot Eugene.
No. But here's my issue with the entire Riley has a behavior modification chip in his chest.
Yes.
Okay? One, when was that put in? We don't know, but it's just bizarre. Two, why did Riley not know about it? Because even if they knocked him out and put it in his chest without telling him, he still would have had a cut there or a scar or something.
I know. They should have tried to play it like Buffy asked about a scar earlier, and he has childhood injury or something. I don't know.
He's just so hairless that you would have been able to see it.
That's very true.
So I don't know. I have just a continuity issue with the entire O'Reilly has a chip in his chest thing.
I wonder if this is something they planned from the beginning or is a byproduct of crap. The actress who plays Maggie Walsh left, and now we have to scramble.
Oh, God, I don't know. It's just dumb. I don't like it. It's stupid.
But who's not dumb, and we do like, is Spike, who comes in and he's very happy that Riley seemingly has no control. He says, "You're stiffer than usual." I asked Adam why. Adam says he has a behavior modification chip, and Adam activated. And Spike's like, so it's chips all around, is it? Someone bought the party pack. Oh, man. Of course, he's there to get Adam to take his chip out of his head as payment for splitting up the Scoobies in the last episode. But Adam wants Spike to actually bring Buffy to the initiative to lead the humans against the demons, so their deal isn't quite done. And Spike's like, what? I gave Willow the discs, and Willow's going to tell Buffy to come here. And then Adam's like, you gave Willow the discs with the information, and then you made them not talk to each other anymore. And he's like, yeah, they won't talk to each other for a long time. And he's like, oh, wait a second. It's so good.
It's like, okay. I now see the flaw. Thank you. Yeah.
And he's like, Adam's like, so you failed? He's like, you're the one who sent me. If anyone, you failed. And then Adam just stares at him. He's like, let's not get caught up in the details.
Well, because it was Adam's plan to break up the
Right?
Scooby.
Oh, it's so good. So, yeah, Buffy doesn't know to go to the initiative because she's not going to get the info from Willow. So Spike leaves because he needs to figure out another way to get Buffy there. Elsewhere, Willow and Tara arrive at Giles' place. He's so hungover. He's still in his bathrobe. They open the door. They're just standing there. And Tara's so funny in the scene because, I mean, we've all been there where we're with, like, significant others, friends, and we don't really know how to necessarily act. And we want to just, like, come off, like, friendly and, you know. And so she's just there, like, smiling. Like, wow, this is so awkward.
Not a great time for her to show up.
No. And she, Giles was like, oh, so why are you here? Well, I was like, oh, I forgot my laptop. And he's like, oh, so you're going to be here with the typing and the talking? She's like, no, I can work it from home. And he's like, yeah, good. That's good. Oh, man. I know. Buffy is alone in her dorm room. She picks up a picture of Xander, Willow, and herself. And then she picks up the phone as if to call them, but then she puts it down and instead picks up an axe. Which is, that's how Buffy deals with stuff. Xander's in his basement in bed. Anya arrives saying that she thought Xander wanted to check out the board at the unemployment office. She picks up his blanket and smiles. And she's like, oh, you can't go like that. They won't even interview you if you're naked. It's just so much fun, Anya. I love Anya so much. In this rewatch, especially, like, everything she says is hilarious to me. I think she's just such a great addition to the cast, you know?
Yeah. She's definitely fun.
Yeah. So, Xander doesn't really know what to do. He's very lost and hurt from the fight that the Scoobies had the night before. He just generally feels like a loser, and worst of all, he thinks that Willow and Buffy may be right, because he is a loser. Anya doesn't care if he's a loser. She says, so what if you are? You're a good person and a good boyfriend, and I'm in love with you. Whatever they think, it shouldn't matter. And Xander's like, you're right. It shouldn't matter.
That's so sweet.
It is.
It's like, as much as Anya has a tendency to fail at the whole being human and understanding, like,
right,
tact and all that stuff, it's like, she has these moments where it's like, you know what? That was a fantastic thing for her to say. It shows a lot of, like, insight and a lot of compassion and a lot of sympathy, and so it's very sweet.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. She crawls into bed with him too when she says it. It's a nice scene for them. So Buffy returns to Adam's cave with her axe in hand, but nobody is home. It cuts back to Adam and Riley at the initiative. They're in a secret lab that only Walsh knew about. Speaking of Walsh, she is some kind of human drone. She has this weird blood tube sticking out of her, as does her lab assistant, who was also killed. Which is very jarring for Riley, as you can imagine.
Yeah. They're kind of zombie-ish.
Oh yeah. There's nothing there. The lights are
Yeah,
on, but no one's home.
I always wonder, because, I mean, Walsh looks very different. Just with the amount of, like, prosthetics and makeup they put. I am wondering if that is still the same actress.
Oh, yeah, I bet it's not, right? Because, yeah, it really doesn't focus on her at all.
No, they have, like, a couple of little line snippets, but I'm pretty sure she says them, like, and you're not even looking at her face.
Right, yeah. I wonder. Something to look up. Where are we? Yeah, so in the lab, Forrest, who was, remember, killed in the last episode, rises up from a table, and he is combined with a demon, just like Adam. Which, not great. Now there's two Adams, essentially, running around. He's not quite as strong, he says later in the episode, but still, he's pretty strong.
Yeah. Well, plus the fact that Forrest already sucked, and now he just sucks more.
Yeah. True. He says he can't wait to take on Buffy again. Now that he's half demon. Back in the cave, Spike and Buffy run into each other. Spike pretends that he's just looking for like a weekend getaway place to crash. And then he asks about the discs. It's funny too because Buffy's like, "Oh, this is Adam's cave," and Spike's like, "What, Adam? Oh, that's the last thing I need right now." And he's like, "Anyway, so how's the discs? Any luck with that?" And she's like, "Yeah, Willow's working on them," and he messes up because he says like, "Oh yeah, you guys had a falling out, but you got to make up because you got to get the info on the discs." Buffy realizes.
Also, yeah, it's like he knows they had a falling out, but he wasn't there for that.
Exactly. Yeah, realizes that because she's Buffy, very smart, and she's like, "Oh yeah, okay," and just plays along and leaves. Willow's working on the discs. She starts to have a techno babble moment where she explains, I don't know, you code, Jill, right? Does this make any sense what she's saying?
I coded HTML and CSS, so little out of my skill set.
Yeah, to me it definitely just sounded like, all right, they just threw a bunch of words together and said something about an algorithm. And the disk self-decrypts, and as it does, Buffy calls, and Tara's like, "Oh yeah, Willow's right here. I mean, I will check if she's here." Oh man. Back in the secret lab, Forrest explains that he's been combined with a demon, obviously, and Riley will be as well. The Scoobies meet up once again on campus. It's very awkward. They're all like standoff, like, they're doing good social distancing. Like, if this is today, it'd be a very appropriate hangout because they're all standing far apart from one another. Buffy kind of makes them realize that Spike was the one who drove them all apart. So they're all back on the same page, but it's still, a little awkward. Buffy says that Spike must be working for Adam. And Xander has a great line. He's like, "Spike working for Adam after everything we've done for..." Nah, I can't even act surprised. Oh, man. Willow tells everyone what the plan is, which is to combine humans and demons. Buffy realizes that the demons were so easy to capture because they wanted to be captured, so that they have a big massacre and Adam has plenty of human parts. And they realize that Adam wants Buffy so that they get a lot of demon parts, so Buffy can kill a lot of the demons there and even up the ratio. They're back at Giles' place. The uranium core comes up again, so score one for Jonathan. Never forget that without Jonathan's help, they never would have been able to bring down Adam. Probably. We'll get to that. I mean, we'll see. But so Xander says that with Giles, Willow, and Buffy's powers combined, they may be able to defeat Adam. This kind of, him saying like with them combined jogs Giles' mind, and the group return to the initiative house with a renewed sense of purpose and a dangerous spell as the ace up their sleeve. And finally, we get to see them rappel down the elevator shaft, which they said they were going to do to rescue Riley episodes ago, which is, nice little callback. Did I lose my place completely? Yeah, please.
Okay, find your place. While you do that, I will say that I did look it up on IMDb, and Lindsay Krause, who's the one who plays Maggie Walsh, is credited for this episode. So they may have talked her into coming back for this one episode. I don't know if it's like.
Can you come back for one line, please?
Maybe she's just credited, but it was really like a body double in heavy prosthetics. I don't know, but she is actually on IMDb officially credited for this episode. So
interesting. All right, we have our answer. So on the way down, Buffy and Willow have a heart-to-heart about how they drifted apart, and it wasn't really just Spike's doing that this all happened. They had a lot of underlying issues to work out. Willow says, "I wanted to tell you," referring to her and Tara, "but I was scared." And Buffy says, "You can tell me anything. I love you." And when they get down to the bottom, Xander meets them, and they hug him. And Buffy and Willow are both like, we love you." And he's like, "Oh God, we're definitely gonna die, aren't we?" Oh man, which understandable reaction to that.
And it's like, Giles, you got to get down. You don't want to miss this.
Yeah. Oh man. Adam and Spike are watching on the monitors as the soldiers capture the Scoobies. And Spike's like, "See, I got her exactly where you wanted her." And Adam's like, "She's not alone, though. She still has all the people." And Spike's like, "Yeah, well, you know about that." And he tries to run away. And Forrest captures him, but Spike had lit a cigarette and he burns Forrest's eye. And is able to escape. And Adam's just like, "Just let him go. He's probably going to die in the melee anyways. Doesn't really matter." Oh, man. So the Scoobies explain the secret lab to the Colonel, even though the Colonel thinks he knows everything, but he knows nothing. He's an idiot.
He's a dick.
He is. He is a dick. You're right. Oh, man. He thinks he knows how to handle Adam, but as Buffy says, he has no idea how to handle primeval forces, which is the title of this episode. Just as Buffy's kind of dressing him down, the power goes out and the doors lock on the initiative. All the doors inside the initiative unlock. All the doors to get out of the initiative lock them in. And Adam releases the demons, which reminded me of Cabin in the Woods.
A little bit. Yeah.
Which is the first movie that you were on Wicked Good Everything. We talked about that. We did a reaction to it in a review. So if you want to watch that, I'll leave it in the comments below. That's on the main channel. That was so long ago.
Yeah.
It was like 2 years almost.
The part that you're referencing that is similar to the scene is the part that I stepped away for.
It's a little more gory in the movie, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I was like, I remember what's coming up next. I'm going to step away for a minute. And then I think he did like a sped up version of it's like, this is why Jill stepped away.
Yep. Oh, man. So, yeah. The Colonel like brings all the soldiers out. They're like, "We have to get to the armory. You two watch them. They're under arrest." And as soon as they leave, Buffy just kicks both of the soldiers' asses who are supposed to watch them. Which, I mean, what do you think was going to happen, Colonel? Come on.
Yeah.
No respect for the Slayer.
Wasn't it like the Colonel, they're trying to explain the secret lab to the Colonel, and he's like, "Nothing happens in the initiative without my say-so and knowledge."
Yeah.
And it's like all of a sudden, lights go out, outer doors are locked, inner doors are unlocked, entire hell breaks loose. It's like, yeah, you want to take that back now?
Oh, man. So on the monitors, they see that there's several heavy casualties on both sides. Spike actually just starts fighting demons to help the soldiers because, he doesn't want to die, obviously.
Right.
Willow figures out that the lab is behind 314 because there's a lot of like vents and electrical cords leading to nothing. It's like, all right, this must be where the lab is. And they're like, "How are we going to get there?" And they're like, "Well, there's no locked doors, so you can get there pretty easily." The battle when they're running through it.
Oh.
Sorry, what were you saying?
I was going to say, super easy, barely an inconvenience.
Exactly. Oh, I should have worn that shirt. I'm wearing my friend's, the Funny 115 website.
Oh.
It's a Survivor, fan website thing. It's hard to explain. If you're a fan of Survivor and you haven't checked it out, check it out because it's very, very funny.
Wait, you have what is it called? Is it Film Rant? No, what is it? Super Easy, Barely an Inconvenience is a reference to...
Oh, yeah, Screen Rant.
Yes.
Yeah, pitch meetings.
Yes!
Yeah, I have a shirt that just says Super Easy, Barely an Inconvenience on it. I love that show. That show's hilarious.
Oh, it's great.
Oh, man. So, yeah, the battle, while they're, fighting their way through it, actually, looks really cool. They did a good job of, making it look chaotic and explosions in the background. It's just really great. They set up for the adjoining ritual. Buffy goes into the lab, and the other three stay behind to barricade the doors. Inside the lab, Buffy finds Riley, and she's like, "Oh my god, are you okay? Are you hurt? Are you just sitting there?" And it's like, "Talk to me. What the hell?" And they tell her that, oh, okay, he has a chip in him. He can't control himself, all that stuff. And Adam's like, all right, now he's going to watch as you die. And Forrest holds Buffy while Drone Walsh comes at her with an electrical saw. Fortunately, Buffy fights back. And as she does, she breaks a glass next to Riley. She's fighting Forrest, who seemingly has the upper hand in the fight. Buffy tries to grab a wire, but the wire breaks and starts sparking everywhere. Riley's able to cut himself and remove the chip. I guess he just powers through the chip's behavioral modification. I don't know.
It's just weird. Like, he can't talk, he can't move, but somehow manages to grab broken glass, lift his hand up to his chest, cut into his chest over his heart, and remove a chip that he knew nothing about and doesn't really know exactly where it is or anything like that. Like, it's just a whole lot of weird, and
Yep.
I hate this entire sub storyline. It's dumb.
Yeah. Willow, Giles, and Xander work on the ritual. They represent her heart, mind, and spirit within the ritual. Riley obviously pulls the chip out and starts fighting Forrest, and kills the drones, which no reverence paid to him killing Professor Walsh again. You would think there would be a moment, you know?
Doesn't he not even kill them? He just kind of yanks on the tubes, which
True, yeah.
They were already dead. Who cares?
So he goes to fight Forrest, so Buffy can get to Adam, which doesn't make a ton of sense, because if Forrest is beating up Buffy, right? I know that he's a former super soldier, whatever, but come on.
Well, I think it's just that Buffy's she's got bigger things to deal with. He's just
Right.
I'll fight and or just kind of stall Forrest.
I'll get punched in the face till he gets tired. That's
Yeah.
how I'll get the upper hand.
Yeah.
So Buffy and Adam fight, and Adam has the upper hand. His arm turns into a minigun. He takes out his I guess bone stake, and Buffy breaks that. She's broke your arm, and he's got another. And his arm turns into a minigun. He's I've had upgrades, and he looks like the Terminator with his minigun.
Yep.
The Buffy dives behind a bunch of control panels so she doesn't get shot. The ritual finally starts working. Buffy stands up. Her eyes are glowing yellow as the power is coursing through her. Adam tries to fire at her, but basically she has unlimited power because she just blocks it. In the other room, Forrest and Riley continue fighting. Riley starts hitting him with a canister and then kind of gives it to Forrest. Forrest lifts it above his head, and the sparking wire from earlier that Buffy pulled ignites the canister, and Forrest blows up. So, any last words for our dear friend Forrest?
We won't miss you.
All right, fair enough. I figured it'd be something like that. Oh, man.
Farewell.
Yeah. Adam tries to shoot Buffy with rockets, but she turns them into doves. Then she turns his hand back from a gun to a hand. Adam tries to punch her. Can't do anything. Buffy just ducks and dodges it. Buffy starts kicking his ass and then rips out his uranium core. And she says, "You can never hope to grasp the source of our power," because she has the Slayers talking through her. And then as she pulls out the uranium core, "But yours is right here," and Adam dies. And then she makes the core disappear before fainting from the power for a moment, which is a pretty cool scene. I like this. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's important to note that it's so after she's been combined with Willow's magic, it's Willow's magic, Giles's knowledge, and Xander's heart. Um, she basically is the Uber Slayer.
Mm.
They call on the power of the Primeval one,
Mm.
um, which we'll talk more about in the next episode. But basically, she has, you know, magic powers
Yeah.
plus better fighting powers plus like
Yeah.
um
10 times Slayer strength. Just like, it's
yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah. So I mean, they built Adam up to be like, I don't, like this mecha big bad.
Mm.
um I feel like this was a little bit of a cheat to
Right.
destroy him, and it happened like kind of almost too fast.
Mm.
um but at the same time, it's the writers had to figure out something, because
Yeah.
Maggie Walsh was intended to be the big bad of the season, and then she kind of pieced out like
Mm. And
before halfway
then,
through.
of course, introducing this power, they had to spend the next episode making it so, like, this is not a get out of jail free card anytime they run
Right,
into something. Because, yeah,
right,
you would think if this was like something they could just do, they would just do it all the time.
right.
Anytime
Like
someone looks strong, just
they
do this.
definitely made they definitely made Buffy like super OP in this episode, or
Mm.
for this last fight scene with Adam. So it's like the next episode was, here are the consequences of what
Right.
we did. Here's why we're not going to do it again.
Yeah. Which I liked. I'm glad they did that.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, once it's hard. And I think, like, every superhero property struggles with this. It's like when you up the ante so much and you have to up the powers that the main hero has so much, it's like, when do you get to a point where just like nothing is a threat, and how do you bring that back down? And I think a lot of people have issues with that, like with Superman, because Superman's is like, how can you make something interesting when Superman pretty much can't die?
Captain
So,
Marvel.
exactly. It's like, when you make a hero too strong, how do
Yeah.
you make the stakes worth it?
Well, because
So
okay, can I rant for like 2 minutes on Captain Marvel?
the floor is yours.
Okay, I'm
Brie
sorry.
Larson, if
This
you're
is bug-
listening, stop listening.
Brie Larson, nothing against you. This is
Right, yeah.
specifically an issue with the writing, uh, and it's going to be a potential spoiler if anybody hasn't seen Endgame. So if you have not seen Endgame, one, why? And two, skip ahead like 2 minutes.
Yeah, I have.
Okay, in Endgame, the hot potato with the glove going on,
Yes, yes.
and the super freaking obvious, we made this a girl power moment so that female fans did not yell at us for not putting in a girl power moment.
Right. I want to
Okay,
just say Jill's the one saying this. This ever
yeah,
gets clipped.
this is completely my opinion on
Right.
this, on the scene. Okay, like 2 minutes before, we see Captain Marvel fly through one of Thanos' ships and
Mhm.
destroy it.
Yes.
She destroys single-handedly a ship by just flying through it super fast.
She does the Holdo maneuver by herself.
Yeah, yeah. Why did she need any help with the freaking glove? Why?
Mhm.
Because I'm sorry, but you have like all these female characters being like, "Oh, here, we'll help you out. Don't worry, she has backup." But like Captain Marvel can fly so fast that she freaking holdos a ship by herself.
Mhm. Mhm.
She did not need anybody's help.
No, she doesn't. I mean, especially like Thanos tries to like headbutt her and can't. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she probably was like, yeah, but also I don't want to. The Hulk's arm is really fucked up. I don't want that. We'll let someone else snap this if it has to come to that.
Well, no, because it was just getting the glove away from Thanos. It wasn't
Right.
even that they wanted her to put it on. They were
Right.
just
That's
playing
true.
hot potato with it.
She could have flown away.
Yeah,
She can
she
breathe in
didn't need
space.
anybody's help.
Yeah. That's a good point. Huh.
I'm sorry. It still bugs me to this
Mm.
day. I had this conversation with my boyfriend on the way home from seeing the movie, and I was like, it was. I feel pandered to in like
Mm.
a this was way too freaking obvious. The directors were standing up on their directors' chairs with megaphones, being like, "Did you see this, female fans? Are you happy now?"
Yeah. And I mean, it's hard because in that movie also, they have Captain Marvel in the beginning, but they have to remove her for the big
Yeah,
part of the movie because she's so powerful. She would have kind of made it easy to do everything that they did, easier than it was for sure.
yeah,
You know, 'cause they don't have to sneak into an underground lab with Captain Marvel. She can just fly through the ground to it. You know.
yeah.
Anyways, so if you're coming back, I'll have
Sorry.
to make sure to timestamp it. Jump to this part of the video if you don't want to hear this. Um, but yeah, so a demon breaks into the room with Willow, Giles, and Xander, but Spike comes in after and kills him. And Spike just like, oh, nasty sort of fellow. Lucky for you, Blighters, I was here. And Giles is like, yes, thank you. Although your heroism is slightly muted by the fact that you were helping Adam start a war that would have killed us all. Xander's like, you probably only saved us so that we wouldn't stake you right here. And Spike's like, well, yeah, did it work? And they all just kind of like shrug and start getting up. And he's like, well, then, everything's all right. We all get to be not staked through the heart. Good job, team. So Buffy and Riley come out and they're like, okay, we have to like organize a retreat of the remaining soldiers. And Spike's like, by golly, let's go. It's so good. Oh, man. And when this happens, this is so weird. I can never get used to it. Anytime I watch this episode, it cuts to a bunch of people we've never met who are like a government council. And they're saying that we lost 40% of our soldiers, but because of Buffy and the gang, we didn't lose everybody. So we're going to let them get off scotch free for anything that we were mad at them about. And the initiative is going to be shut down. And that's the end of the episode. It's just really jarring and weird. What did you think?
I think that the entire concept of the initiative was kind of dumb. At
Fair,
least for
fair.
like the okay. I understand like the military recognizing that you know a lot of shit goes down in Sunnydale.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we should have some sort of task force there to help deal with it. But it's like one, if they had been around for as long as they seem to suggest, with the fact that this entire military base is built out under the college,
Mm-hmm.
one, Buffy would have run into them at some point,
Mm-hmm.
considering that she's lived in Sunnydale for the last 4 years. They
Right.
wouldn't just stay like contained to the college and Main Street.
Right.
Um, Also, I hate like whenever they bring in somebody from like leadership
Mm-hmm.
because they're always just dumb and ignorant. Um, and like having this little like scene with these people that we don't know who they are. They mean nothing to us, and they're just like, yeah, exposition, exposition, exposition. Here's why you'll never see the initiative ever again.
Right. No, I,
Like
I
that,
agree. It's really weird.
they could have just had a scene with Riley after the fact, like as the team is regrouping somewhere else,
Right.
and him be like, "Hey, yeah, you know, I just got off the phone with like some people that don't really matter, but they
Mm-hmm.
said that, we lost a lot of people down in the initiative and they're going to be shutting it down. And I don't know what's next for me
Yeah.
because they were paying my tuition or something. And I don't know, but
Right.
like somehow have like Riley deliver that news. We don't need to
Mm,
see this little freaking cutscene with people that we don't know.
yeah. I agree. So strange. All right. So, Primeval. Watch, pass. I think I know where you're going to go there. And what is your final rating?
I'm gonna give it a watch because I mean it's part of the two-parter for the finale. I mean it's kind of weird if you skip it.
Yeah.
It at least explains why we never see the initiative again,
Yeah.
and
It'd be a
explains
lot
a
to
lot,
skip.
and explains it ties in very heavily with Restless, which is just a phenomenal episode. Um, I'm gonna give it like a 7.
Oh, that's exactly what I gave it. Good. Not great. Not the best finale. Last season finale was so good, and
Yeah,
this one just doesn't live up to it.
yeah.
I think there's a part in this episode where Xander says, "Does anyone miss the mayor? I just want to become a giant snake." It's like, yes, I do.
Yes.
Oh
I mean,
man.
he was like a developed villain, and he I think that we got to see a lot of him, like another side of him, because of the whole relationship he had with Faith. And
Right.
he was just a very engaging, like, bad guy.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh,
And
we're
just a great
finally introducing.
performance.
Oh yeah, it's
So
like,
good.
oh, we're finally introducing the big bad of season 4. Oh wait, okay, she's gone now. Regroup. Let's try to figure this out. And okay, but I don't know. It was
Yeah.
just
Not great. Cat doesn't like it either. Like, nope, I hate it. Oh man. All right. So, sevens all around for that one. Let's get into crazy episode. Season 4, episode 22, Restless. The last episode of season 4, originally aired May 23rd, 2000, directed and written by Joss Whedon. So,
which is why it's fantastic.
yeah, exactly. All right, so everybody is at the Summers house. Riley has to leave because he needs to get debriefed. He thinks he's going to be fine because Graham and the others are going to testify that he helped them escape. Willow's like, oh, it's kind of like you're blackmailing the government by not saying what happened. And Riley gives her a look. She's like, in a patriotic way.
He's like, no, I'm gonna try to convince them that I wasn't a bad guy.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Oh,
see, this
man.
is why I was saying that it would make sense for him to like come back at the end of the episode and fill us in on the whole the initiatives being shut down thing.
Yeah, this would be a good scene for that. But
Yeah.
is what it is. Xander comes in. She's like, dinner is served. My recipe. And Willow's like, oh, you hit the popcorn button on the microwave? He's like, I actually hit defrost, but Joyce was there in the clutch.
Okay, so I don't know if you mentioned this, but they're at the Summers' house.
Right.
And so the group is there kind of having their regroup after everything that went down at the initiative. We actually, I mean, I'm assuming this is the same night, so I don't know when that whole
Oh, yeah,
council
yeah.
meeting happened. So I don't know. But
Yeah, that's like way in the future.
like they took attendance real quick to be able to say that they lost 40% of their people.
Right. I should say, too, the Colonel dies in a scene during that weird flashback thing. Or like
Yeah,
flash forward. I don't even know.
it's weird. But so yeah, and then somehow Xander's had enough time to like run to Blockbuster and get some movies or
Yeah,
something.
exactly. On the way home after, he's like, oh, wait, we gotta stop. Oh, man. So Joyce, she says she's tired. She's going to go up to bed. She's surprised that none of them are tired after, saving the world once again. The four settle in to watch a movie because they're all too wired from the ritual to sleep. Xander picks Apocalypse Now to be their first movie. And he's like, don't worry, I have a lot of chick flicks and like British guy movies to get us through the whole night. So they put in the movie and it immediately cuts back to them all asleep. We zoom in on Willow and enter her dream.
So they fell asleep before like the end of the FBI warning that used to be at the beginning
So
of movies.
great.
It's like I am so wired, I'm never sleeping. And 5 seconds later,
We've all been there. They're like, oh, I'm fine. And then immediately just fall asleep.
yep.
So in Willow's dream, she's dreaming of Tara. Tara's worried that they don't have a name for Miss Kitty Fantastico yet. And that Willow doesn't know everything about Tara. Willow's painting something on Tara's back in another language. Do you know what this is?
I know
Like, is
that
this something
Passion
I'm
of the
supposed
Nerd
to
looked
know?
into it. Huh? Yeah, Passion of the Nerd looked
It's
into it. He talks about it in his video. I think it's like a poem or a story or something
okay.
about the Isle of Lesbos.
Okay. All right. Because I was
Yeah.
like, crap, is this? When I was like taking my notes, I'm like, should I know what this is? Because
So
I don't.
this episode has a lot of uh like intricate symbolism.
Mm,
If you have seen this episode, if you have seen the rest of the series, Passion of the Nerd does a great. He has two great breakdown videos on this episode. He has one that is a non-spoiler, so does not spoil anything for future seasons, and just
mm,
breaks down the symbolisms in this um episode, but doesn't spoil anything moving forward. There he has a spoiler video as well that breaks down all of that symbolism. I think it's like 2 or 3 minutes longer, but he
all right.
does reference things
Yeah.
that happen in the future and the things that are foreshadowed in the future in this video. So it's really interesting. I highly recommend going over there after you finish this video. Of course, go over
Yes.
to Passion the Nerds video or his two videos, whichever one you choose, and
Mm,
enjoy.
yeah. The foremost scholar on Buffy and Angel, probably
Oh,
on
for
the
sure.
internet. All right. So, um, Willow opens the curtain as she says she has to leave to go to drama. She pulls it back. It's super bright outside, and she remarks that there's something out there. Um, Willow is in the halls and meets up with Xander and Oz. So, hey, we lied to you when we said Oz was gone forever.
Oh, right. I forgot
Yeah,
he was
I
here.
forgot he was in this episode too. But yeah, Oz is back, guys, for this.
For like
Um, yeah. So Willow's in the hall. She meets up with Xander and Oz, and they keep talking to her about trauma. Um, Oz says it's like a tough class. And Xander says that, what have you been doing? Doing spells? And then he turns to Oz. She does spells with Tara. And Oz is like, yeah, I heard about that. The bell rings, and then Willow's like, I'm going to be late. Xander says, sometimes I think about two women doing a spell, and then I do a spell by myself. And Oz just looks at him like, what the hell? Why did you
feels
say
kind of
that?
like, why are you the way that you are?
Exactly.
But
Which is,
it's more reference into the fact that because the network would not allow the writers to write in scenes of like physical intimacy and stuff between Willow and Tara, the writers found a way around that by making their
and then
spells
they
very
shoved it in
sexualized.
the studio's face.
Yep.
Like, yeah, this is what it means. Suck it. Oh, man. So Willow goes to drama, and they're already like getting ready to put on a play.
It's
Harmony's
the first
there.
day.
Yeah. First day, Harmony's there. She's really excited. Willow's there, and she says she better not step on any of her cues. Buffy and Riley are there in costume. Buffy is dressed like Velma Kelly from the musical Chicago. At least I think it's supposed to be her. Like, if not, it was just like, a heavy allusion to that character. Riley's dressed like a cowboy, because he is a cowboy in real life.
Yep.
And he looks like he's from the play Oklahoma, as does Harmony. Though I don't know Oklahoma well at all, so I don't know if Harmony's dressed up like a character from Oklahoma.
Well, they're not doing Oklahoma. They're doing Death of a
Right,
Salesman.
they're doing Death of a Salesman.
It doesn't make any sense.
No. So Buffy says that Willow, it's great that Willow's already in her costume. No one will know her secret. Willow's like, I'm not in my costume. And Buffy's like, you're already in character. I should have done that. Like,
So
storms away.
I will say that this is kind of so there's the episode Nightmares back in season 1 of Buffy.
Mm-hmm.
Um it's either 1 or early season 2. Um but it does stand to mention that Willow has had kind of this fear
Mm-hmm.
since that point.
Yes.
Because she in that episode it was that she was in like an opera and
Mm-hmm.
they just kind of shoved her out on stage and she didn't know any of the words or anything, and they're
Mm-hmm.
like singing in Italian or something. I don't know, it's
Yeah.
really bizarre, but she's had like this kind of extreme fear of stage fright and of like being forced into a situation where she has no knowledge of what's going on. Like she shows up for the first day of drama and they're already putting on a play and she doesn't know her lines, she doesn't know the story, she doesn't know anything. So I just think it's funny that it's like a callback to that.
And we get to see in the talent show episode where she's on stage and runs away.
Which was an
Saying,
ad
like, I
lib
don't
for
get it.
Allison Hannigan.
Yeah. Oh, man. So it's well established. It's great.
Yep.
So Giles, director, he's like, yes, this is going to be great. As long as Willow stops stepping on everyone's cues. We're going to do the best performance of Death of a Salesman ever. He also says the audience wants to catch them, strip them naked, so they have to hide. The whole time, Harmony's like coming around trying to like bite Giles. He's like, stop that. That's very annoying. He's like, and everybody remember the things that you have, that you work with on the stage. And Harvey's like, props. And he's like, no. And Harvey's like, props? Yes. Super great. Oh, man. The audio drops out of the scene and Willow turns to see a man who has laid out cheese. It's very strange.
The cheese man.
The cheese man. She goes to walk on the stage but gets lost in the curtains. She runs into Tara, who tells her that everyone is starting to wonder about the real Willow, and if they find out, they will punish her. On the stage, Buffy is chewing out Riley in a monologue as Harmony cries over a dead salesman on the floor. Oh, man.
I've never actually seen Death of a Salesman, so I don't know if any of this
like
is
this.
accurate.
In the monologue, though, she ends it with, like, you men and your sales. Oh, man. As this is happening, something starts stabbing through the curtains, trying to get at Willow. Buffy saves her and pulls her out. She asks Willow why she's still in a costume. Willow's like, again, I'm not in a costume. This is just my clothes. And Buffy's like, no. And she rips off the clothes and reveals Willow's episode 1 wardrobe. Which, huge callback. Then Buffy goes to sit down. Willow has to stand in front of the class and explain the plot of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, as Oz and Tara are very flirtatious right in front of her. And Xander's just a dick during it. She's like, I read The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. And he's like, oh my God, who cares? Like, oh, Jesus. As this is going on, Willow gets jumped by something and drained of her life. We cut back to the living room in the Summers house, and she's like choking on the couch. Xander wakes up and he's like, oh, I'm up. I've been awake. Buffy and Giles are awake. They're just watching the movies. He's like, what's up with Willow? And Willow's like, Buffy's like, oh, big faker. It's like, very weird. She's like choking to death. Xander leaves to go pee. Upstairs, he's confronted by Joyce, who is very flirty towards Xander. She tells him the others have left. Xander's like, oh, I should catch up. A man's always after. And then Joyce is like, conquest. And he's like, I'm a conquistador. And then she says, comfort. And he's like, I'm a comfortador too. She invites him to bed, but he still has to pee, so he goes into the bathroom. And inside, the scientists from the initiative are watching and taking notes. Xander's like, I'm going to find another bathroom. Xander goes into the next room, and it turns into his parents' basement. In the basement, there's something at the top of the stairs banging on the door. He remarks that that's not the way out. Instead, he leaves and comes upon a playground during the day. Giles and Spike are swinging while Buffy is playing in the sandbox. So what do you think of Xander's dream so far?
It's bizarre to say the least. Let's see. I know that, like, okay, for one, Xander's dream, like, bathroom in Buffy's house is massive. also the scene where he comes across Buffy in the sandbox and
Mhm.
Giles and Spike are swinging on the swings. It should one be pointed out that this is daytime, so Spike's out in the
Yes.
daytime.
Mhm.
Uh, Spike is wearing a suit that we will see him wear in a very funny episode later on.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, Spike is talking about how Giles is gonna make him a watcher,
Yeah.
and Giles says something about how Spike's the son he never had.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah. Xander's like, oh, I was into that for a while, but you got to move forward.
yep.
Buffy's like a
And
shark.
Buffy's playing in the a sandbox, and he's like, you're gonna get lost out there.
Mm.
The camera kind of switches, and it's her uh, sitting in just like this massive like
Desert.
sand dunes
Yeah.
almost, desert sand dunes. Yeah. And she tells him like, you don't need to worry about me, Big Brother, or something. She refers to him as
Yeah.
Big Brother.
Yeah. She says it's okay. It isn't after her yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Big Brother.
a lot of there's a lot of really weird lines and really weird symbolism in this episode. But I think that that one's like, pointing to Xander knows that that's kind of the way that Buffy sees him
Hmm.
is like a big brother. So
Hmm.
even though he still kind of has this crush on her that I don't think ever goes away,
Right.
um,
Right.
which is why he just kind of hates all of her boyfriends. Um, but yeah, so I mean, we're kind of glossing over a lot just in the interest of time. But if
Yeah.
you really want to deep dive, there is a lot of symbolism to talk about here.
Yeah. So while this is all happening, Xander is also like working in an ice cream truck at the edge of the park. And it cuts from the Xander in the park to the Xander in the ice cream truck. He's joined by Anya, who asks him if he knows where he's going. She says that she's thinking about getting back into vengeance. Xander tries to dissuade her of that because, obviously, bad. Um, but then is distracted by Willow and Tara, who are doing a spell in the back of the truck, as it
In
were.
like skimpy clothing.
Yes. Yes. So now we know what Xander was talking about when he does a spell. Oh
Well,
man.
it's also kind of the we see kind of in his head what it means to be a lesbian.
Yeah.
Like because the probably the only context he has for lesbian relationships probably comes from like adult videos.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
So
Oh man. So Anya's like, oh, you can go back and join them. I think I figured out how to drive by gesturing wildly. And the steering wheel like slides over to her and she's just like not even touching it, just like going like that. Oh man. So Xander tries to join them in the back, but he like keeps climbing toward the back and eventually climbs out into his parents' basement. There's still something banging at the top of the stairs. The cheese man is back, and he tells Xander that the cheese will not protect him. Oh man. Xander leaves and goes back into the high school. He finds Giles and asks him what's after him. Giles says it's because of what they did, and says he can only survive if he listens to him, and then starts speaking in French, as does Anya. And honestly, just like huge flashback. I took French my sophomore year of high school and failed. So this is a very traumatic flashback to when there would be sections of just playing the tape and you'd have to like
Mhm.
answer what they're saying. I was like, oh god, I hate this. I hate this scene so much. But yeah, it's very funny because Giles like, all right, Xander, it's very important that you follow exactly what I say or else you're going to die. And he just starts speaking in French. Anya and Giles lead Xander outside, and Xander is in Apocalypse now. He meets up with Snyder,
Yep.
who's playing the role of Colonel Walter E. Kurtz, originally played by Marlon Brando, very famously. And I'd say Snyder does a pretty good job in this, playing that.
I've never seen Apocalypse Now, but seeing Snyder back was funny.
Yeah, definitely was. So Snyder tells Xander that his time's running out and he's nothing more than a sacrificial whipping boy. Xander goes to stand up, and as he does, it cuts to in front of Giles' house. He's starting to be chased by what killed Willow. He runs into the house. Giles, Buffy, and Anya are standing over Willow trying to figure out what's wrong with her. Then Xander runs out through the various scenes from before, which I just noted that it's really cool how they connected all the sets together so Xander can pretty seamlessly run from one to another.
So one note on that is that they actually filmed in a series of warehouses.
Mm,
So a lot of the times where you're seeing somebody go through a door, in this episode, go through a door into another set, those sets were actually connected.
yeah, it's so cool. I love it. It's
Yeah.
such a good use of what they had,
Hmm.
to make this really surreal, dream-like state.
Yeah.
Um, Eventually, he ends up back in the basement looking up at the door again. His father, who, have we ever seen his father before this?
No, we have not
Yeah.
seen his mother or his father. We've only heard them,
Mm,
but I don't believe we've ever seen them.
right. So his father breaks down the door and accosts him. As he's coming down the stairs, he turns into the monster from before and rips Sanders' heart out. And now we're into Giles' mind. He starts off hypnotizing Buffy, and then it cuts to Buffy, Giles, Olivia, and Olivia's pushing a baby in a baby carriage. And there's a carnival set up in a graveyard, which is very strange. Um, and Buffy is very childlike. It's like they're a little family, and Giles is raising Buffy. Um, Buffy starts to play a carnival game where it's stake a vampire by throwing a ball at him. And at first Giles is like, Buffy, you're the chosen one, and gonna cost her for playing the game, but he's just don't have your elbow out when you throw. She wins that. Spike um, invites Giles into his crypt. Inside, Olivia's crying next to the overturned baby carriage. And Spike has rented himself out as a sideshow attraction for people to gawk at and take pictures. And John's like, "You're just a shy, so freak." And he's like, "Yeah, it's showbiz." He's just striking poses. It's wonderful. Spike tells Giles that he has to make up his mind on what he wants for his life. Obviously, talking about Olivia and the potential to have a family versus his duties as a watcher. Um, the cheese man tells Giles that he wears the cheese does not wear me.
The cheese man is so bizarre.
It really is. Giles joins Willow and Xander at Anya's open mic as they're dying. So basically, Xander and Willow were like, "Yeah, we got killed. You're probably gonna get killed next. Should probably figure out what's happening." Anya's bombing. We've all been there, Anya. Open mic bombing. It happens.
Trying
Willow
to
and
tell a joke about a duck.
yeah, it never makes any sense, even in the background. But then, at the end, everyone starts laughing. So Willow and Xander really get into Giles, telling him he needs to figure out what's happening to them and what's after them. Giles figures it out and starts explaining it in a song, which is fun, of course. He says that the spell brought something primeval back through the void to hunt them down. The mic stops working. Giles follows it backstage where their monster is waiting. Giles says he knows who the monster is and that he can defeat the monster with his intellect. Giles, of course, you underestimate me. You couldn't know. You never had a watcher. And then he gets his mind taken out.
Mhm.
It's pretty
You
gross.
see, the monster or demon is clearly cutting across his forehead, to take out his brain. Kind of an interesting callback to the puppet show when
The talent show episode again.
yep, uh, yep, the same episode where the demon was trying to steal a brain
Hmm.
to some ritual, I think, or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, but also referring to the fact that in the spell that the Scoobies did, Giles was kind of mind knowledge.
Mm.
Willow was, or was it?
Spirit.
Yeah.
Because she was
And
like
Xander
drained
was
of her
heart and
spirit.
had his heart taken out. So
Mm. All right. So Buffy is up now. She wakes up in bed in her dorm. Anya's in Willow's bed. Um, and then the monster is on the ceiling and kind of drops down. And as that happens, she wakes up again, this time in her bed at home. And then she like gets out of the bed, and well, we don't see that. It just like cuts to her out of the bed, and she tells Tara, who's there, that Faith and her had just finished making the bed. She looks at the clock and says that it's so late. And Tara says that the clock is completely wrong. And she also says that even though Buffy thinks she knows what's to come, she has no idea. Buffy leaves to find the others, and Tara says, "Be back before dawn." Which I wonder if that will have anything to do with the future. Uh, Buffy's in the school and sees her mom in the walls of the school. Very strange. Joyce tells Buffy that she needs to find her friends, but then she's like, you could probably break the wall down and help me out. But as she's saying that, Buffy just leaves her.
yeah, Buffy gets distracted and just kind of takes off. But it should be said that like it's literally like Joyce is living inside of the walls in the college. Like
Mm,
there's a hole in the wall, and Joyce just her head kind of pops up. It's like it's weird.
yeah. Oh man. So Buffy's distracted by Riley walking up the stairs. Buffy follows and sees him and Adam sitting at a conference table. Adam's completely human now. He's not
Mhm.
his half demon at all. They're drawing up a plan for world domination, with the key element being coffee makers. Riley tells Buffy that the debriefing went well and they made him Surgeon General, which makes no sense at all.
No,
Um, so Buffy asks Adam what his name was before he was Adam, and he says no man can like recall. So it's kind of sad. Um, there's alarm. The demons have escaped. And Riley's like, we need to build a fort. And Adam's like, I'll grab the pillows.
kind of shows what Buffy thinks of the initiative.
Mm-hmm. Buffy says, wait, no, I have weapons. And she opens a bag up, but there's only mud. She rubs it on her face, and the screen flashes, which we saw earlier when she had cotton candy on her face. It flashed like weird for Giles,
Mhm.
which I definitely wrote down in my notes and did not say while reading my notes. So good job, Brian. Riley comes back. He's in like his normal clothes. He's upset that Buffy's not looking for her friends, so he storms off. Buffy walks out into the desert from before in Xander's vision. She meets Tara and they talk about how she's never going to find her friends here. Tara says she's meant to speak for, the monster. Buffy realizes that it's not a monster at all, that it's the first Slayer.
Mhm.
Um, the first Slayer says that she was alone, like through Tara. She says that she was alone and that Slayers aren't supposed to walk in the world, but Buffy says that she does. The first Slayer says, this time actually like with her own voice, no friends, just kill. We are alone. The cheese man pops in and Buffy says, that's it, I'm waking up. He's like comes in with a slice of cheese and like smiles at her. Buffy and the Slayer start to fight. Buffy says it's over. We don't have to do this anymore. She seemingly wakes up back with the rest of them in the Summers house, but then the first Slayer jumps her and starts stabbing Buffy. Buffy's completely unaffected by this. She says, you're really going to have to get over this whole primal power thing. You're not the source of me. And then she wakes up for real. But not before saying kind of an outdated and pretty racist comment about her hair in the workplace. So I was watching this morning. I was like, oh, why did they say
Yeah,
that? That's so bad.
it's not
Jesus.
great.
Yeah.
It should be said that back when they were doing the whole Terra translating for the Slayer, the first
Mm-hmm.
Slayer thing, Buffy kind of it's very much the first Slayer being like, you're not supposed to have friends, you're supposed to walk in the dark,
Mm,
um, and Buffy has this great speech about how, you know, she has friends and they actually make her stronger,
mm,
and um, she she walks in the world like, oh,
right.
it's something about I'm gonna be a firefighter when the floods come,
Mm,
something like that. Um, but it's basically like the first Slayer telling her like you're not supposed to have friends, you're not supposed to
mm,
have a life, you're not supposed to you are a tool to fight against the forces of darkness, but
mm,
you are not supposed to be like living your best life out there. And
right.
Buffy's like, you know what? The times have changed. I can do both.
Right. So Buffy wakes up, as do the rest of them. So this has been defeated. Buffy stood up to the power of the first Slayer, and you
Mhm.
know they're fine. So they're all sitting in the kitchen. She's like, you could have like warned us that this could happen to Giles. He's like, I said there could be dire consequences. She's like, yeah, but you say that about walking and eating, which is great. Joyce comes down and she's like, what's going on? And she's like, the spirit of the first Slayer tried to kill us all in our dreams. She's like, oh, does anyone want hot cocoa? Like, yes. She's like, hey, Xander, and he's like, yes, Joyce, Buffy's mom. Like, can you help me? Which is obviously fun. Buffy goes upstairs, looks at her bed, all made up. Tara's words about not knowing what's coming or what's to come echo in her mind. And that's it. That's the end of season 4. So, all right. We didn't cover this super in depth because we'd be here potentially for 10 hours if we broke down
Yeah.
every little thing. It's a really good episode. It's really different. It does a lot to, you know, solve that problem that we talked about in the last episode with having Buffy having access to this just incredible power.
Mhm.
Can't have that, so it shuts that down, and it does a lot to set up the next seasons of Buffy, and it's just a really entertaining, strange episode on itself. So, what do you say, Joe? Watch or pass?
Oh, this is a definite watch. There's
Figured.
a lot of fun callbacks to even all the way back to season one. There's a lot of foreshadowing going forward. It does help to kind of solidify the whole here's why they never use this Uber Buffy spell again.
Yeah.
It's just a really kind of fun, interesting trip of an episode.
Mm,
So I gave it a definite watch. I'll give it like a 9.
mm,
It's not necessarily my favorite season finale, but it's definitely
mm.
up there.
Yeah. So I gave this a 9 as well because I love weird shit, and this is the weirdest shit ever. And I love this episode. It was hard to take notes on. It was a lot of notes and I
Yeah.
felt like I barely scratched the surface. But it's really fun. You gotta watch this episode. It's unlike any other episode in Buffy.
hmm
And yeah, anything else you want to touch on before we get on out of here?
So just to touch really quickly on what's coming up next. So yeah, so we are actually going to be switching over for a little bit. We're going to cover season one of Angel. So
Yes. Woo.
Season one of Angel actually was airing simultaneously with season four of Buffy, so there are a lot of really fun kind of crossover, crossbacks. Um, so if like I know that a couple episodes we refer to, oh, this is a part one or part two of a crossover episode with, this over Angel. We're going to
Mm,
be covering what happened on Angel. So it'll be super fun. We're going to switch over, cover season one of Angel, and then once season one of Angel is over, we'll swap back, cover
mm,
season five of Buffy, then switch back, cover season two of Angel. So that's kind of the plan. We're going to kind of
mm.
keep it rather than doing like, okay, here's episode one and two of Angel, here's episode one and two of Buffy. Here
Right.
we're we're gonna do it just at like the season or
Mm,
the season level. So it should be good, it should be fun. Um, if you haven't seen Angel, we're gonna start covering season one. So if you've watched Buffy but never watched Angel, it's the first season, in my opinion, is a little bit rough just because they were trying to find their groove, just kind of like season 1 of Buffy was. But once they get into it, it's great. So I highly recommend, if you have seen Buffy but not seen Angel, go watch Angel and then come back and watch our reaction videos.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of how we're going to be doing moving forward.
Right. And I think I had heard that this was the time when Firefly was coming out as well. So it was like 3 shows all at once, something like, or maybe that was the last season of Buffy. My mistake. Forget it. Forget I said that. Last season of Buffy, they had 3 shows happening simultaneously. But this is still just 2. And like you said, it was a lot of, they have a really good team for Buffy, but they like broke the team in half for the 2 shows. So it was like finding the right fit of everybody. So yeah, stick with us. Stick with Angel for the first few episodes. It gets really good.
Mm-hmm.
Like just like Buffy did. It gets super great. So, yeah. Excited to talk about Angel. And Jill, where can they find you online?
So if you want, you can hit me up on Twitter. I'm at Jillian_Swan, and that's Swan with 2 N's. And yeah, head over to Twitter, shoot me a message or a DM or a tweet or however it works. I don't know how Twitter works. And tell us that you're enjoying the show. If you're enjoying it.
Yes,
if you're not enjoying it, just don't say anything, because that's just rude.
You can tell us. It's just okay.
If you have legit constructive criticism,
yes,
then that's good. If it's just like, you guys are shit, then you can keep that to yourself. We don't need that negativity in this world.
Oh man. Yeah, so follow Jill on Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter at the fake Bmarr. That's BMARR. You can follow the channel on Twitter at WJEverything, on Instagram at Wicked Good Everything, on Twitch at twitch.tv/WickedGoodEverything. And for now, TikTok, but it might get deleted. We might stop using TikTok because of the security concerns. Who's to say? But for now, there's occasional stuff going up on TikTok. And we will see you guys in the next one where we cover Angel. The Sunnydale Review is a Wicked Good Everything production. The fan art of Buffy was created by Fishbone Art. The logo was created by Tamar Kutab. The original intro and outro song was created by Alex Carl.